Hey, I want to talk about if I walk into a 10-person service business tomorrow, this is exactly how I would run an audit. Not talking theory, not talking tools first, but just a real practical approach to running an efficient audit. So let's assume this is a typical 10-person business, agency, professional firm, you call it. They have sales, they have delivery, and they have a lot of admin work. And they feel super busy all the time. For me, first thing I would do, step one would be, it's simple. I would map their revenue flow. So essentially understanding how do they make the money, right? How does a lead become a client, right? From there, who touches it first? What happens next? Where does it stall? Because typically what you'll see in most 10-person businesses, when you've got that many folks involved, leads are typically handled in an inconsistent fashion. Follow-ups might vary. Information gets copied manually. That's usually the first signal for me. Not because sales should be automated, but because consistency should be. Once revenue flow is clear to me, I move to delivery flow. So how does work actually get fulfilled once we get to that step? Where are the tasks created? How are updates shared between the team? And then lastly, who is responsible for giving status updates, essentially status visibility? In smaller teams, delivery friction hides inside of communications like Slack messages, manual updates, email threads. It's, if someone has to ask what's the status regularly, that's a big system gap. And that's the second signal. Then I look at admin load. So I'm looking at scheduling, I'm looking at invoicing, I'm looking at reporting, I'm looking at what type of internal reminders does the business have. This is usually where what I call human glue lives. These are people that are manually moving information between tools. They're forwarding updates, re-entering data over and over again. That's not how value work, right? You don't really want to pay folks to do repetitive work like that all the time. That's really coordinated, what I call coordination overhead, right? Busy work. In AI, this is a great spot where AI is very good at reducing that what I call coordination overhead. From there, then I look at knowledge concentration. So if one person leaves tomorrow, what actually breaks in the company? Where are processes undocumented? Where are proposals rewritten from scratch? Where are answers buried in inboxes? Usually in a 10-person team, a 10-person business, knowledge is leverage, really, but it's rarely systemized. And that's usually the biggest long-term opportunity that I see. So the pattern pretty much looks like this for me. I want to look at the revenue flow. I want to look at delivery flow. And then I want to look at that admin overhead, right? Those repetitive tasks. And then I want to know a little bit about the knowledge capture. So I'm not trying to automate everything. I'm just trying to identify the 20% of friction that creates 80% of the drag or bottleneck on a business, right? So when those are clear, automation becomes super obvious, and it usually affects 3 to 5 core workflows and not 50, right? You don't have to try to automate everything. That's how you avoid building these impressive, systems with AI that nobody uses. If you're running a service business and exploring AI, I would definitely advise you start there. Map that flow, find the friction, and then apply a simple automation and be deliberate about it, right? Deliberate. If you want a structured way to identify those leaks, I've linked a simple efficiency snapshot below. That's usually where the first step I would recommend for a business. And, hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching.